Out of executive session, no other topics were discussed other than those listed on the agenda. No other business was conducted and no actions were taken during the closed executive session. We will now start our regular board meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
Ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
So we're moving on to Board of Education reorganization, election of officers. We will start with President, unless we've got any questions on procedure or process. All right. Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we keep things the way they are.
A second?
So let me ask Patty, so we can do that in a single action, I believe, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
as long as we have a motion
Yes.
to take that, and a second, and then vote, yes.
So I'll go ahead and ask it again, a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we keep the seats the way that they are, and make it clean. Let's say Charles Armijo as president, myself as vice
Elizabeth
president,
Howells, vice president.
and Albert Chavez as secretary, and then our extra board members, which we really appreciate. And someday we'll be over this end.
Don't worry.
I'll make a second to that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. You want to do roll call? Let's do roll call for it. So,
Wendy Burns, I vote yes.
Linda Hudson, I vote yes.
Albert Chavez, yes.
Elizabeth Howells, yes.
and Charles Armijo, yes. So, very good. There you have it.
And I think that the business office is the most excited about it because it is such a chore nowadays. There's not just cards when you change the sign off on the checks. It's all electronically, and electronics is supposed to make it easier. It does not. It takes months, doesn't it? Yeah. So there's an early Christmas gift for you, Miss Antoinette. We were just checking them off.
Well, that's exciting. All right. Moving on to adoption of the agenda.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to recommend that you adopt the agenda with one edit. Mr. Jim Goodman with KEMR was not able to make it tonight, so he's going to come in February to do his presentation, so we'll be removing that from our agenda.
All right, so we have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the agenda as is, other than removing from 3C the presentation from KEMR. Any questions for the superintendent? So I'll need a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the agenda with the changes.
All right, I need a second. Second. So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Welcome to everybody. Happy New Year. It's surreal that it's already January, 17th today, 2023. I think my mind is still somewhere else.
September.
But nonetheless, we're excited to embrace the new year and move forward, hopefully with some gusto and good things for our kids. And we're always trying to keep it kid focused. So, hopefully we'll just continue beating the pavement, doing the right thing by kids. So, all right, moving on to approval of minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the minutes from the regular meeting from December 14th of 2022.
A recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the meeting minutes from December 14th, 2022, way back when. Any questions, any edits? Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Howells and a second by Mr. Chavez.
Vice versa.
Oh,
Vice
was
versa.
it? Okay, vice versa.
Either way.
All right, so all members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, citizen comment? No? Okay. Moving on, superintendent board comments and commendations. Student council.
Any reps? No?
Not that showed up.
Not this showed up. Okay, thank you. It's cold and it's windy out there. I don't want to get out there.
Icy out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're ready for a phone call.
Yes, so we, Mr. Alsop intended to attend tonight, but his little 4-year-old daughter broke her arm over the holiday and had to have surgery yesterday, and he sent a picture of the break, and it was very traumatic to me. Poor baby, but he showed a picture with her little smile and her little purple cast, so she's okay, but he's going to be join us by the phone, so.
Hello, you've reached Daniel. Please leave a message.
No, please record your
Come on,
When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Just keep redialing until he answers like he has to do when you're in high
I
school.
got it on the first try. He does that?
We didn't have forward.
Oh, there he is. I don't know how to answer.
Speak.
Maybe we can't.
Hi, Daniel.
Yeah, hi, this is Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. It's like, we didn't know how to use our phone, so excuse that.
Well, we were good if you had answered the first time.
It came on my phone as maybe junk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There we are. So, it is. So, Daniel, we will let you, first of all, how's your little girl doing?
Oh, she's good. She's in good spirits and doing well and seems to be doing good. Appreciate you asking.
Good. Okay, we'll let you go ahead and share the information.
Okay, great. Let's see. The first item. Let's see. Is it the? I'm so sorry. It sounds like you shared with the board what I've been doing here. Okay, so the first item is the Series 2023 GEO Bonds Authorizing Resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And these would be $3.5 million authorized by voters of the district at the November 2021 election. The district previously issued $4 million out of $1 million authorized at that election, and so the bonds would be issued for various district projects, and the resolution is substantially in the same form as the district has approved at I don't know, since I've been working with the district for the last 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years. And the intent is to issue the bonds with the New Mexico Finance Authority. I don't know if we have Kaylee or Regina on with RBC, with the district's financial.
Actually, Daniel, Regina was here and presented to us in December because she had a conflict tonight at another school district. So we did get that information in December.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kaylee. So the plan would be to go to the Finance Authority in January at the end of this month, and then bond closing would be on Friday, February 24th. And that's when funds would be available.
Okay.
Then with that, I'm happy to explain any parts of the resolution or expand on any of that or answer any questions.
Antoinette, do you want to share anything, expand on?
Mr. President, members of the board, the only thing I would add is that we continue to go with the New Mexico Finance Authority because they're giving us the best rate. If we went out for public sale, we don't believe we would get the rates that they're offering us, especially in the current upswing in interest rates right now. We did get in before that increase happened, and we also qualify for disadvantaged premium, so we save some extra money with them from there as well.
We went with them last time.
Yes.
We've probably done it the last
Yeah.
4 years. If you recall, when the state's Moody's rating, as well as the district's, was downgraded because of the insurance premiums, the retiree health, was, the ERV debts, that most school districts have started going with the New Mexico Finance Authority just because you get such a better rate through them. And we've learned the system, and we're still voting for them to go electronic with their statements and online banking, but it's, we're getting really good rates with them, and so we think that it's beneficial for the district to go that direction.
I would think by now we've gotten pretty comfortable with their process. Because I know that was probably the most frustrating piece of it
Yes.
for the first year.
Yeah, the business office has their system down, so it runs smoothly. Any other questions for Mr. Daniel?
Just looking. All looks good. Let's see, this is up for action now.
Yes.
It is. So do we have any other questions for Mr. Alsop? We definitely appreciate, the information in advance, in our board package so that we can review it ahead of time. Like Superintendent Salazar had said, we hope your daughter does well and recovers. It's never fun when your little ones get hurt like that. So we appreciate you taking the time out of your day and not canceling on us, to go ahead and move forward with this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, board members, and superintendent. I apologize for not being there in person. Hope to be there to meet with you in person to get closing documents signed. But tonight I felt like I needed to be here with her.
Yeah, I think so
We
too.
agree.
Do you need to share anything about the second action item, Daniel? The resolution of authorizing the submission of the application, or is it just one, it's all the same?
That's a pretty perfunctory item. It's simply a resolution authorizing submission of the application that Kaylee and the team at RBC prepared to apply to the Finance Authority for their purchase of the bonds.
Okay, very good.
And it's a very standard form of document, but I'm happy to cover anything else.
Okay.
All right. Do you have a recommendation for us?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve Series 2023 Go Bond authorizing resolution.
All right, so I have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve Series 2023 GO Bonds Authorization Resolution. Any questions before I get a motion? All right, if there's no further questions, I'll need a motion.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend you approve the resolution authorizing submission of applications of the New Mexico Finance Authority.
All right, so we have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the resolution authorizing submission of application to New Mexico Finance Authority. Any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing submission of application to New Mexico Finance Authority.
I'll second.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you everyone very much, and hope you have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.
I didn't want to embarrass him and tell him that I missed seeing him. He's always got like a cool, dapper
Yeah, he's
kind of
always,
suit.
yeah. He's always very GQ.
I wasn't gonna. His mind is elsewhere.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
I might.
He probably has peanut butter in his hair and, like,
You could definitely hear it
yeah.
in his mind.
Yeah, he was somewhere else.
But he's always represented us well in the past, and he's always answered our questions, and so I definitely appreciate him. I think he's done a good job for the district. So, all right. Moving on. Principal and Athletic Director Board Reports. Do we have any questions for principals?
I want to know what happened to Joe's head. Do you have a bandage back there? My eyes are back, but I'm seeing it back there. What?
Long story.
Okay. Well, I want to hear about it later.
Any questions?
I think everything seems like it's going off to a good start for the new year, and attendance has been okay. Maybe.
We've had better health since after the holidays than before, because before it was horrible. Our attendance and the number of kiddos that were out, and even staff, but it's been much better. I was kind of expecting it to kind of be a problem, but I think people got to be home and rest and relax and kind of stay close, and it's not quite as bad as it was before the holidays. So, very good. Look at all their smiling little faces. I know, they're still beaming about
We
it.
can squeeze them in now.
We could. We're moving right along. That's
All right. Any questions, comments from principals and athletic directors? All right. So we will continue, unless you all have something for us.
I'd like to request back here that if we do the 90-day plan presentations at a future meeting, that they're still only 3 minutes long.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Is there a second on that? Is that
All right. Well, if you're ready, I think we'll move on.
okay?
Board President, Board of Education. Anybody got any comments? Only thing I would add is Patty has included what came in. I've got a letter here from former Superintendent Sullivan. And so with that, I probably would make probably make copies and make them available to you all. I think it's relevant. I read through it pretty quick, but it was addressed to both me and Mayor Jaramillo. So, but there's some information in there I think that would be relevant. And so, like previous communication that I've received in the past that's been directed towards board president that I thought would be relevant to the whole board, I'll try to make that available to you. You can probably make that happen with us, Patty. This is what we've got. Do we have a digital copy or?
Yes.
There is a digital copy as well? Okay, so we'll either get you a physical copy or other than that.
Hard copies after the meeting.
Hard copy would be better. Okay, hard copy.
Yeah, we'll just do
That
this.
will complete it. All right. Other than that, any other comments, questions? Nothing, all right. We shall continue on. Flying through it.
So we're going to go ahead and our audit has been approved by the state auditor. So we're going to call Ms. Terry's Wade, or is it Terry Wade, or just what? Who's
Just Terry.
Just Terry tonight. So Elizabeth's going to dial a friend again, and we'll go through there, and then I'll share my superintendent's report.
Hello?
Hi, Terry. This is Elizabeth. I'm on the school board, and the whole board's here. Teresa and Charles and Albert
Okay.
and Linda and Wendy. And we're ready for you, if you're ready.
I'm ready. Do you have the audit report?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so the first page we're going to go to is page 3. And this is the independent auditor's report opinion. The report does look a little different than the ones in previous years because it was rewritten by the AICPA. So it'll be the same as everybody else's who has the independent, the unmodified opinion. But in this one, the opinion, the actual opinion paragraph is the very first set of paragraphs. And so the very first paragraph tells you what the opinion is on. So it's on the general fund, each major special revenue fund, the budget to actual comparisons. And those are the financial statements that are in the front of the financial statement. It does say that you have an unmodified opinion, and we do not believe that there are any material misstatements in your audit report. The second part of the opinion also has to do with, it's on page 5, and it's the supplemental information. And it talks about that in relation to the combining schedules are in relation to the opinions that are at the beginning, but the actual opinion is not on the supplemental schedule. Now we're going to go to the next opinion that I give you, which is on page 116 and 116. And this is the government auditing standards opinion. The government auditing standards opinion comes in 2 parts. The first part is on internal controls over financial reporting. And in that one, there are 2 sections. One's material weaknesses, and the other part is significant deficiency. And in this year, you did end up with a significant deficiency in financial reporting, and we'll go over that in just a minute. The next part of this opinion is on page 116, and that has to do with the compliance in government auditing standards. And the compliance comes also in 2 parts. The first is on the government auditing standards compliance, and you don't have any findings that have to do with government auditing standards compliance. The second part is the New Mexico requirements for auditing and reporting. And there are 2 findings that have to do with the New Mexico regulations. The next opinion that I have for you is your uniform guidance, or your federal awards opinion. And that is on page 117 and 118. And that also comes in 2 parts. On 118, you have your compliance in accordance with your uniform guidance and your internal controls over with uniform guidance. There are not any findings in your federal award, so you have a clean opinion on both compliance and internal controls. The next financial statement that you look at is on page 120, and that has to do with your federal award. It is an expenditure-driven report, so according to this report, Moriarty School District spent $5 million, over $5 million in federal expenditures. And this report details out how much in each fund was spent. Then if you turn to the next page, it tells you which programs were tested. So on page 122, you'll find that we tested the CARES Act, we tested your IDFE, and we also tested your Title I. Any program, any of those programs that have more than 750,000 is a Type A program, and anything with less than 750,000 is a Type B program. So your Title I is actually a Type B program. Also on that page, it also tells you that you are considered a low-risk auditee. And in the process, we did 59% of your federal expenditures. So we did test $3.5 million. That doesn't mean that we tested 100%. We did do a selection of those programs to get a good selection and a good feel of your compliance and your controls over federal awards. Then we get to the schedule of findings and question costs, and that's on page 124. Page 124 is basically a summary of all of the whole audit. So if you forgot what I said, or when in a couple of days when you're trying to remember what I said, you can go to page 124 and it will come up what the audit report says. So it basically says that you have an unmodified opinion on the independent auditor's report. In internal control over financial reporting, you have no material weaknesses. You have one significant deficiency and no non-compliance material to your financial statement. In the federal award, you have no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no question costs. It again tells you which programs we tested for our single audit, and we tested the CARES Act, IDMB, and Title I. It tells you that the difference between a Type A program and a Type B program is $750,000, and that you're considered a low-risk auditee. It then tells you that you have, under the New Mexico state requirements, you have one non-compliant, one internal control over state requirements under other non-compliance, and one that does not rise to the level of significant deficiency. Then on page 125, we find the internal control, the one that is a significant deficiency, and that has to do with the internal controls over the inventories. Although you've had the internal controls over inventories for quite a few years, this one has changed a little bit because this one is over the food service inventory and not over the fuel inventory. So it has changed a little bit, and so it's not quite the same finding, although it's the same category, it's not quite the same finding. Then we go down to page 126, and we have an internal controls over budgetary expenditures. And so when you're looking at that, you see the variance of $2 and $4, and you go, well, that's not very much. I'm going to tell you that there's no leeway on that. If it's $1, it's a finding. So unfortunately, it's still there. We did talk about that with Antoinette, and hopefully that will get dealt with. We discovered that the Department of Education is keeping those in a roll-up report according to the bars. And so that may not be exactly what Antoinette was looking at when she was reconciling. So that may be the reason for those little findings. The next finding is timely payment of invoices. And there was 40 items tested, and of the 40 items tested, 3 payments were paid more than 30 days. And so the average was 66 days, and the longest was 113 days. And the total of all 3 payments was $335. The next page is the prior year findings. So it does say that there was one that was not resolved, and that's your inventory one. And last year you did not have any; you only had 1 finding. So that was good news for you. And that's the end of the audit report. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
So the internal controls is only $6. Is that right?
Say that again.
The finding on the internal controls on the budgetary was $6.
Yeah, it's by fund. So one fund was $2 and the other fund was $4. So in total it is $6, but it's just, unfortunately, we have no choice but to give the finding, and it's something that we're required to test, so we do have to give it. And it is because the board is the only people who have the authority for the budget and budgetary control. And so it was, we gave you a detailed list. It was in the homeless program and in the pre-K.
Antoinette, do you want to share more of all of it? So kind of an example.
So on that one, Mr. President, members of the board, we had this happen in the past one other time. PED system, which we call OBMS, rounds everything to the nearest dollar. Our books are to the penny. So we went through our books with the fine comb and we were good. And I should have compared it to PED system and OBMS because the rounding is what messed us up and we ended up off.
I was going to say, it looks like
Off $6.
Yeah, so if you think of all the thousands of lines we literally have in those two accounts, well, maybe not in homeless, in the pre-K, once they all that rounding gets added together, it came up to be $2 and $4.
And I was thinking it's a million of dollars that we go through. That's pretty nice. Good.
So we will make sure we monitor both. I will say that the PED has done an update to OBMS, and these last few bars that I've entered, they have let me go to the penny. So, but it started mid-year, so this year we'll have to still monitor that really closely, and then hopefully by next year they'll be to the penny like every district in the state of New Mexico. So.
Do you want to share the inventory of the food services?
Yes. So the inventory controls, what happened is when food services took all the school sites inventory and tried to combine it into the one big spreadsheet, she didn't notice that one manager at a school had deleted a line because they didn't have that item in their inventory, and it shifted all of the, so she deleted the item but not the whole line. So then the numbers were off from the title. You know, so it should have been potatoes and it was apples.
Yeah.
So when they went and counted the apples, it didn't match what it said it should be because it was actually the potatoes or whatever. I'm just using it.
Yeah.
So it was really a simple clerical error. We've worked really hard with Ms. Armijo to help us lock that sheet so that they can't accidentally do that again. Yes. Yes. So.
No potatoes at this school.
So they can't take it out just because it's not at their school. And then as far as the timely payment of invoices goes, honestly, it's just that we had a huge turnover in staff this year. My new person wasn't getting all of the invoices because they were still going to the old person's email address, and we didn't catch some of them in time. It was like this perfect storm of, secretaries that had changed, and this person didn't know that that was still outstanding. So we're trying to make sure we're monitoring those POs that have been sitting open for longer in our office a little bit more closely. So we've had more turnover in shipping and receiving this semester, so I'm not going to promise you that one's going to go away because things weren't getting out to schools fast enough for us to get the invoices paid in those 30 days sometimes because I only have one person down there. But we're working on trying to get all those issues tightened up and cleaned up. Matter of fact, we cleaned out that warehouse Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday ourselves. So
yeah, because as of Tuesday, we only had a 0.4 person as kind of like our full-time person had left, and so we were already down a half a person. So then we were down a full and a half, and so I just have to brag on Miss Young and her department and all the other departments pitched in. Get a few ladies in there. Oh my gosh, you've never seen that place cleaned out. Pianos checked in and stuff delivered to the schools. You have pallets and pallets. It's like, there's all my stuff. So they've done an amazing job, and their clothes will never come clean with all the black on them, but they've done an amazing job. And they did interview on Friday, and we're going to be fully staffed at the end of the month, by February 13th. So
We're still going to be, kind of looking along for a while. Everybody's kind of pitched in, and if you're in a certain side of the district, Mr. Viviano, that anybody need deliveries or mail picked up, or just let them know, because they're good at it now. So takes a team. So they've done a very good job, and I appreciate it. So
That's a good job, too.
Yes.
yes, thank you. As clean as I would have liked it, but we'll do better.
We're not all perfect.
I tried.
And we really bugs her that she got, so. Like a personality. So Terry, is there anything else that you need to share with us?
We're going to be approving the audit in the underneath the business section, if you don't have anything else to add.
No, I don't have anything else to add. I just wait until everybody has their questions answered, just in case that's something for me.
Right. Thank you very much, Terry. And I don't know if Wade is there, but thank you. We appreciate you working with us, and we'll see you in a couple of months. It seems to go really fast. We're going to have to get you school shirts. You're here. It's kind of like it's going faster and faster.
It is. It's going really fast, and we're already gearing up for the next one. So.
Right, exactly.
It was a pleasure working with you guys, and it always is. We really enjoy working with Mariani Schools, and you guys did a really great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That means a lot.
Thanks, Antoinette.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Antoinette. Yes. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So just,
Thank you guys.
They worked very hard at that, and I'm impressed with all the numbers. My eyes would be crossed. It's kind of like all the numbers, and I have one account with one line item, and it's like, and it's never balanced. It's like $6 I've been pumped.
I know, I was looking at some of them, like, okay, that was a really, like, when I saw the $204, I thought, it's like, oh, something computerized.
Yeah.
Mr. President, members of the board, those are two accounts that if we don't use them, we lose them. So
Yes.
we literally spend them down to the penny.
Yeah.
To make sure that we don't lose that money. So
Yeah.
we did a little bit too good of a job.
No, that's perfect.
Thank you.
So just an update on lots going on this semester. So the F&P, the Facility Master Plan, if you'll recall, that is something we're required to do every 5 years. And the RFR, so we have to go out to bid because it's over $60,000. Ms. Young worked with PSFA to get that RFR filled out correctly, and it was published Sunday in the Journal. Their bids and proposals are due on January 26th. So hopefully we'll get a couple of different companies. I think that there's kind of few and far between of ARC may still do it, but I don't. The lady does not do it anymore. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. So we'll be working on that. We've been working on conceptual designs for the Edgewood, just because people have asked, is kind of, so what's your plans? So been doing that. So that information will be coming out in meetings coming up. We are still working through the process with PSFA on the demolition of Moriarty High School East Complex. So it's gone to the next level in their e-builders. So we're anticipating, I did my submit and approve, and so we're hoping to get something in the next week and continue moving on with that process. An update on wells. So the well, the largest well that used to feed the majority of the fields, that's kind of behind the baseball field, they have determined that we can get 60 acre feet per minute. Is that right? Yeah. Gallons per minute. Thank you. I knew that didn't sound right. It's not like that didn't sound right. I wish we got that much, right? So 60 gallons per minute. So they are putting in new pipe and then a new motor to keep up with that, so we can pump it into the our storage. Thank you, Albert. Oh, my words are gone. My well words are gone. So we are working on that. They did determine that the two wells at the ag farm are dry, as well as the one that is in the parking lot where we demoed the old annex building. So we're going to be sealing those three and looking at and pricing what it would be to drill 2 more wells at the high school ag area so that we have water to water our fields. You know, those wells water MES's playing field plus all their landscaping. It waters MMS's football field that is brand new, as well as their landscaping, and then it hooks to all the practice fields, the soccer field, and the high school football field. The high school football field is the only field that we have connected to city water, just because, you know, our wells go down or, you know, something happens, and so we have to continue doing that. So we have made it that possible, but we're working on that. So we'll continue giving you updates as we move forward with that process. So.
Superintendent also, whenever we drill these wells, are we going to connect them all together? So in case one goes down, we can supplement them with the other one.
Yes, that's exactly what the plan is. Yes, so that they can support each other.
Yes.
And currently we don't have anything that's being grown at the ag farm, but eventually we'd like to be producing enough water so that when they do start that, add that into the curriculum, that they would have water to do that. So that's our intent. Anything else, Antoinette, on that I've missed from our meetings with Lincoln?
No, other than I'll just add that the well company is supposed to be out, I believe he said on the 26th, so it should be soon.
Yeah, there was some glitch with their PO or something. Our PO got sent to spam or something, so they didn't see it because we'd actually sent it to them before Christmas or so. But they'll be out on the 26th, so that's good.
Very good news.
Yeah, exactly. We continue to have concerns and legitimate concerns from parents about transportation. We're continuing working on that. I'm sorry for any phone calls you get. You know, and once we visit with parents, they understand. It's like, and they don't have solutions either. But just so everybody knows that it's still not fixed. We are trying to work on things that are on our end that we can, you know, make better and better customer service on things and communication. But just so you know that is still a concern that is on our radar. I did look at the recommendation for transportation. They're looking at a raise in compensation for transportation employees at 5%, which is 1% more than just a raise. So hopefully that will help our situation with transportation. But just so you know, that's an ongoing thing that Mr. Viviano, Mr. Bergman, and I continue to work on. We've hired how many new bus drivers and how many have we lost? You know, it's one of those things. It's not like we always exactly. Just as we think we're going to get there, it's like then someone, you know.
And the buses are breaking down.
Yeah. You know, and that's another concern that I'm going to be working with Tillery on. That we have several buses that have been parked there since November. Warranty, you know, our new ones warranty issues. Our activity bus is in the shop and, you know, waiting on parts. But we're to the point that there may be activity trips that have to be canceled because we don't have a bus. Because the route buses, of course, are going to take priority. So that's one of the things on Mr. Viviano and I's list tomorrow is to work with Tillery and see if, you know, some of those warranty items can we run these buses, you know, if it's the, you know, the sticker isn't where it needs to be or whatever, we think we go ahead and run it. So, because that has been a concern. Is there anything else you want to add about that topic? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you start cutting, you know, transfer their athletics.
You know, I think that the thing of it is that you got to realize, people got to realize that parts for all these buses, trucks, and everything can't find start.
Yeah,
He runs, that's his business.
Yeah.
We have vehicles that have been down 6 months.
Oh, really?
Parts, especially on the newer stuff, parts are being used on the assembly line, so you can only order them for very extreme emergency cases.
Oh, that's exactly. It's our new propane buses, and it's just, typical new vehicle warranty stuff that has issues, and there's no parts for them. So,
I think maybe just to kind of follow up on what you were saying about still trying to troubleshoot, come up with ideas. I don't know, when you said that, it just kind of made me take a reset on how much we have to appreciate our bus drivers that are sticking through it, because it is really tough. Like, that is a tough job, and so as the state tries to find ways to put more money in their pocket, I think we should stop and reflect at just how the people that do stick with us, how we really should be appreciating them. I mean, because this problem would, number one, be worse without them, but two, they get our kids back and forth safely, and it's not easy. So I think I just want to kind of just stop, pause, and reflect, and please thank them. I think from the board, and whether we're as parents, and that is a tough job, and they definitely are worthy of every penny of it that they can get. And I guess maybe that's something we can advocate for when we get to Santa Fe. In February. I think that's going to be an important song to sing to legislators, to let them know, that this isn't just about point A and point B getting kids back and forth. This is, there's more to this. And so,
well, they're the first line of defense. So they're the first ones that see our kids when they get on the bus and see what kind of mood, where they're at, and they're the last people to see our kids before we let them off the bus. So they're a very important part of our organization, and so, like you say, they're critical because obviously, when they're not here, it causes huge issues. They can't be in class, so they can't be learning.
And there's a domino effect of it. I've actually wanted to talk to you about this. It's a later conversation, but you get feedback from parents, grandparents about the drop-off procedures at the schools being so long, and cars are extending out into roadways.
Kids are tardy because of the long drop-off lines.
And so, it's important that the district find ways to solve this, but it's important that we advocate, when we do go to Santa Fe for help with it, because it just continues, it leads to another problem. I was driving right by Moerty Elementary the other day, and I don't know, that half a mile maybe, it extended, if you think about that, it was, so even as we move into, let's say, the facilities master plan process, I think we have to be mindful in our vision as a district of how we plan, drop off, and, because, especially if these transportation woes continue, we have to be prepared for that type of thing, and so, I think it's going to be important. That is a very important process that I think even we'll have to factor pick up and drop off, and buses, and security. But at the end of the day, those drivers are definitely appreciated. Please extend that.
I definitely will. And one of the things, and I hate to pile on to, but not having reliable bus service for our families leads to the long pickup and drop-off lines, which leads to less kids on the bus, which leads to us not being funded because of the number of kids riding, and which then exacerbates the problem of we have to supplement even more than we usually do. So it's
absolutely, it is intertwined.
Yes. And it affects many aspects of it. So, and I appreciate that you acknowledging that and understanding that and how important those bus drivers are.
But another thing, at the same time, with those long lines, you got to be careful because there's kids walking across. And you just
and parents try to drop them off so they can get to work, and so you have to be very vigilant.
That, I've seen it at Moerty at the elementary. The staff there does a good job. It's just that
staff is amazing.
It's just that they have to be careful because you could probably rush it a little bit more, but could there be an accident?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think they do a good job. The only thing is that I've got to have parents call and say that because of the long lines, their child is still kind of starting, which we should work on that, maybe give them a little bit more time or something, so that we, I don't know how to work that.
Definitely don't want to
leave that up to
encourage-
the staff and not me.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit.
All right.
80-day numbers are looking very good. We grew 3 more students, so they were up 40 days. So yay, we're excited about that. We are currently still waiting for finalized bids for Route 66 kindergarten upgrade, SME's outdoor classroom, as well as EMS's outdoor classroom. Besides getting parts, it's difficult. It's very difficult to get bids. It's like everybody's very busy, and so we're working on those and having a little bit of anxiety because some of the monies need to be spent by June 30th, but we're working with the vendors on that. Just one more thing, and I'm sorry to take time on this, but I just want to share the great day I had Friday at a conference in Portales. Ruby Payne spoke, and it was on her book, Emotional Poverty. I actually attended that. We are looking at bringing her here in the fall for all of our staff. And it was, the information is absolutely amazing. And the strategies and the stuff that our staff and our teachers can take back, and really focusing on the way we've done discipline and dealt with kids in the past is not working with kids today. That the brain science is shown that kids are just different nowadays. One of the, even before COVID, the data showed that isolation is detrimental to humans in general. That isolation can take 10 years off your life, that it can be as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, it's isolation is a bad thing. And then you put where it was, people can be isolated and even in a group of people, but then when you add COVID to that and the isolation that we had there, and so really working on that and giving strategies. So Ms. Romero and I are working on a plan, and we're very excited about it. And I know the principals are going to be excited. When they hear it, they're going to be like, my gosh, why didn't someone tell us this sooner? So, talking about the brain research and, the brain study of it. So it's going to be really good. So we're excited about that. So that's all of my report.
Very good. Any questions for Superintendent Salazar?
Oh, one more thing, I'm sorry. I want to thank all of you for the very kind comments in my evaluation. So thank you very much. Thank you for the hard work. Now I'm done. Really? Yeah, I'm not saying anything
I'm
else.
going to wait.
Good wait, though.
You'll come up with one. All right, moving on to Learning Services. Director of Learning Services, Board. Any questions? I'll just ask quickly on the report, just a little bit background info on, was it Waves? Let me see if I can-
Waves.
Waves?
Yes.
Waves, that's what it
Waves.
was. Sounds very interesting to me.
Yes, so the Torrance County Family Council used to be called the Juvenile Justice Board. They have partnered with Waves Counseling. It's a private counseling company that is out of Albuquerque, and they have partnered with them to provide outpatient or outside resource counseling for Torrance County families for our students. So anybody, Mountaineer, Moriarty, and Estancia, any student that is referred to Rebecca Sonnenberg from Waves Counseling can receive counseling. She's doing students right now, but with the idea of maybe possibly going to families as well. And they were looking for a place to do the counseling. So we have a building, we have a building full of rooms. They're not full of rooms, but we have an office and a classroom here that we could offer. So we are partnering with them to provide a place for that. It will be on Mondays, and it will begin in January. They'll be here from 12 to 5, and students have to be brought in by a family member, an adult,
and then they'll wait in the car for right now. So we'll have safety measures in place for that sort of thing, but it's just a great opportunity because right now in Torrance County we have 0 mental health support by private. So we're very excited, and we were I was very thankful when Superintendent Salazar said, yes, I think we can make it work to provide the rooms. So Torrance County was also very appreciative.
It's be good for our
That'd be great. Exciting. I mean, it's a deficiency in this state, and so anytime we can overcome some of that, it's a positive thing.
Absolutely. Superintendent Salazar kind of stole a little bit of my thunder
Oh,
with the
I'm so
enrollment
sorry.
numbers. I'm going to do lightning bolts. And so I just wanted to say a little bit more good news. So we're up 75 students from last year at this time. But the big thing is we're up 63 and a half kids from funded last year. So, they're all going to Miss Luce's kindergarten. You're wondering where the students are going. They're in NES kindergarten.
What's our number today?
By that long line.
92.
92 kinders.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
So she got
yeah.
3 today. She got 2 last week and 3 today. So, congratulations to her. But we're very pleased. So those 3, the 5 from last week, plus because all schools have got some kiddos since January 2nd, those aren't counted in the numbers. So we're going up. So it's going to be better news in February.
Oh, we're so excited. Those little things that make us happy. Yeah.
And I would just like to update you. We did have day 1 of our textbook presentations for social studies today. We had presentations for elementary and high school, and I wanted to thank Member Hudson for attending and sitting in on one of each grade level there. And we will have all day for middle school 6-8. We have 3 companies presenting tomorrow. We had 2 for each of those grade bands earlier today. We did get a decision at the end of the day for high school, so in the February board meeting, once everything is finalized, we'll present that.
I love those high school people. They're very, they're decisive.
Did you have a good turnout of people attending? Or?
With staff? So the departments at secondary, all of them, the departments come, and then elementary we had 8 teachers. And
No community members.
No community members, not to the presentations. We had 2 community members come for the look and see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Until next month.
Do you know?
It's more to secrecy.
Oops.
Spit your hand and keep it quiet. Handshake.
I think I can say.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mr. President, members of the board. So high school chose Savas. I didn't need to have it. It's been
That's awesome. Okay. Of course, they could change their mind between now and the first.
Yeah. Nope, they already said.
Yeah. I said it there.
No one's going to ever change their mind.
Thank you.
It's for real.
That's it. Sorry.
Consent agenda. You ready to move on?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the consent agenda, finance items 1 through 3.
Is there a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve consent agenda finance items 1 through 3? Do you have any questions first? Annette? All right. If there's no questions, I'll need a motion for approval.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 3.
So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye. Aye. That motion passes. Thank you. Item B is the audit approval.
So, Mr. President, members of the board, this is the approval for the audit that we just had, the presentation from Terry and our auditor. So I recommend that you approve the FY 21-22 audit.
Just a quick question, I can't remember, we're allowed to keep the same auditor for what, 3 years?
Are we on 2?
We're on 2? So you have one more?
Yes.
Okay.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
Kind of tell by the covers, you know, when I'm in my office. Okay. One more year.
Do we go out to bid for that? How does that work? Or do we do
an RFP.
RFP? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you gave your recommendation,
Yes.
correct? All right, so we have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve FY 2021 through 2022 audit. Any questions? Further questions? If there's no questions, I'll need a motion. So moved. And a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Audit is approved.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you and your department.
You know, it's never fun.
Your skills. And tell Priscilla.
I trust you guys.
Right.
There's a lot of moving pieces. You know, when you really participate in that process, or even when you've attended breakout sessions on compliance and you know, receive training, it's I hate bringing it up, but memes. I used to be the anti-meme guy, and I'm the only one that brings up memes. I always think of that meme with the guy who's holding his head and he's got the Post-it notes and string going everywhere. So that's how I see your office.
Well, and to keep up with the magnitude of money that's spent, especially with all these federal funds that have been in, I mean, it's probably quadrupled the number of POs, PRs, you know, checking in there. I mean, it's probably quadrupled the amount of money that's going through that office, and so they do an amazing job. So we appreciate it very much. So.
While they're celebrating the extra money, we're cringing at it.
It's like, oh, no more grants, please.
More people.
Well, and I mean, I've never deleted a cell in a spreadsheet and it shipped up. Never.
Ever.
That's never happened to me.
We tried. They would not.
Yeah.
They would not forget.
Yeah, that happened. They were obsessed with those canned peaches. There was supposed to be 99 and there was only 48 or whatever.
I think it makes your job a little more exciting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. All right, moving on to approval of disposal of fixed assets.
Yes. Do you want to share some information about that?
Mr. President, members of the board, basically the IT dead room is full and we need to empty it again. So after you approve it, I have to send it to the state auditor's office and they have to approve it. And then once it's fully approved, I will go out and find a recycling company that will take it off of our hands. What they'll do is they'll take the Chromebooks kind of in exchange for the fees it costs them to dispose of the stuff that doesn't work anymore and that they have to pay for to get rid of. They'll refurbish the old Chromebooks and kind of work with us that way to offset that fee. Is what I've been able to do the last few times. I'm hopeful that I can find a company to do that for us again this time.
And the buses?
So the buses we used as trade-ins for the new buses that we just received. It'll cost it. So what happened, and
I was thinking about that earlier.
yes, we use it for that normally, but also this time, from the time that we placed our order, which it took over a year for us to get this last order of buses in, the price has increased by, I believe it was like $7,000 a bus, if I remember correctly. It was pretty significant amount. So we sent Tillery out to the yard with Francisco, and they even took some buses that he's been using for parts, and they're giving us like $500 for a few of them, but it's helping them offset.
Oh,
It's getting them out.
Yeah, and they're getting them off our yard, and it's helping us offset that increase in cost that PED came back and said that they won't pay for it. So we had been approved for that certain amount, and that's all they're doing. We're hopeful that with the superintendents all striking about that they might use some emergency transportation funds or something, but they haven't yet. If they do, it will help cover like the heated mirrors. They are now making us put air conditioning in the buses, but they're not paying for the larger alternator it takes to run those air conditioners. So there's these added costs. We've gone to the disc brakes because they last longer, they're lower maintenance, all that good stuff, they're safer. And that's a cost that we're paying as a district because PED won't pay for that either. So we use the trade-ins for that.
You said that the buses went up $7,000 since we put them in contract?
Yes.
Can they do that?
Apparently they can because they did it to every district in the state.
Because it's not our fault that they're behind. You know, we should have never had to pay that $7,000 extra.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's another thing to bring up.
It is absolutely, and in every district, we have been fighting with the PED about that because it's ridiculous. It's like, you know,
It is.
It's their responsibility to pay for those buses, and, you know, it's not because we didn't have our stuff in time. We met all the deadlines, they just didn't get them to us.
It's
So.
funny how they get
And they have money, it's not like they're poor. Right. Now's the time to be doing it.
See a recommendation from us?
So, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the disposal of this access.
The recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve disposal of the fixed assets.
So,
A second? A motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
let's see one of the right there, what we got.
Yeah, I saw that. This morning when I drove
From
up.
outside my home window to outside my office. I'm like,
I see that one there coming the other day, and I said, And the next thing I said, wow.
Yeah, I really hope that they paint it to match the church because when I pull in this around, I can't believe that.
There you go.
I may have said more than really. That's, but I actually sent Charles a picture of this around. Like, look what it's outside our gate. It's like, it's haunting us. They won't go away.
They're going to buy one of these buses. They will probably right there.
Yeah, it's probably the one that we've been using for parks. So.
Well, it comes to a good use.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything I can
Finance audit committees, our audit was basically.
Is it really 2 months? It starts back up?
June usually is that.
Yeah, for the members of the board. They usually will come back around the end of June. They'll come and do the inventory, the fuel inventory and the food inventory. And they'll start asking for things around the end. So, no, they usually let me survive budget and then they attack right after that.
It's like, what did your budget do? Okay, I'm asking for my stuff the next day.
Remember that? I remember last year they were pretty tough on with the fuel.
Yeah. The new system seems to be helping.
Good. It's what I was going to ask next.
And that's not having turnover of people.
Yeah.
You know, we had stuff going on and illnesses and that we couldn't help.
Do we need to figure out how to put security cameras out there or something?
Where at?
The bus window.
Because of the break and stuff. You know, I think any place that you can put cameras, but it's happening everywhere. It's happening in homes. I went with the executive director of CES to Portales. They cut the catalytic converter out of that vehicle that he is $7,000 to fix it for that vehicle that he was driving. And RV, La Mesa RV, that's kind of, somebody was driving one and it was in a parking lot in a hotel in Amarillo. They're cutting them out. I mean, they must be making big money from them because it's everywhere, isn't it? That's and they're quick at it. They've got it down. So, I mean,
I know, Mr. President, members of the board, that Mr. Ritchie said that we do have a camera right where they cut our pin, but it's not functioning, so we couldn't see the person.
and
So I don't know.
we'd had the conversation of through federal funds, they put a lot of money into security and security for schools, as well as the state is talking about funds. And so we're looking at, actually, Mr. Viviano and I were just talking about this afternoon. Both middle schools need totally redone camera systems throughout their campuses, as well as the high school finished off. It'll easily cost $1 million just to do those 3 campuses. And then it's going to take months to get the parts in. We need to do outside cameras. So we're hoping that those funds are going to be coming sooner rather than later. So because we'd like to be able to use those security funds for that instead of using our bond money and that we could be using for something else. So that's kind of why we've put that on hold, because we know there's money coming. It's just when it gets here. So, but that is a plan. So, and we can actually also include that in our FNP security.
Question, like we pay a lot of insurance for our vehicles. Those don't come underneath it, they don't get covered too.
So, Mr. President, members of the board, we did actually put insurance claims in for all of those. However, Francisco, doing the work himself, the parts came in under the $750 deductible. So it's not really going to be helpful in this situation. On our, I believe maybe on the bus one, they also broke out the window on Francisco's truck, work truck, so they will repair that one. They'll repair that and replace our.
Was there tools and stuff?
Yeah, it was a. I just lost what it's called. That he puts the tires on and off with. Help me. Thank you. The impact truck. I lost it. I was like, what is that thing called? That's the only thing that they took out of the truck, but they busted the window to take it. So that one we will get a little bit of reimbursement on, but the Suburbans are so old, the parts ended up coming in less than.
So maybe that truck with all those tools need to be in the shop.
I don't know if he had a bus in there. I don't know what.
If they find it easy, they're going to come back.
Yeah.
And that's like at Home Depot.
Well, ironically, sir, they didn't mess with any of the maintenance trucks that were also in the yard. Just that one for some reason. So, I don't know. They did an impact drill.
Home Depot the other day, they stole 2 items out of my truck, and it was about $8,000 for the tool. Jackhammers and stuff like that, about $8,000. So I walked in and I asked the security guard, what are you doing here? Talking to each other, you should be out there
walking around. Exactly.
Or driving a school bus from where the edge.
Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah, right. That's exactly.
Just getting bad.
Yep, I'm good to go. Mr. Viviano, you're up. And look, I'm not even looking at the clock. He's getting up.
Mr. President, members of the board, I apologize I wasn't here last school board meeting, but
He was sick. Yeah. He was sicker than a dog. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Here tonight. So, do you have any questions from my report? And or above and beyond?
I wanted to ask, I noticed you had the automated external defibrillators. How many of those do we have? We have
Ms. Natalie?
the AEDs.
That's in your report?
For ERT.
No! You were just talking about it.
So with the unfortunate event that happened to the football player and some other athletes, conversation came up in the last admin council meeting, and then we talked about the use of them, who's trained.
Because we do have them.
We do have them, and Mrs. Romero saying you have 9 or 10 throughout the district. So
we are going to be putting one in the team room, so it'll be closer to the football field, because we currently have one in the athletic director's office. I've never understood why we haven't had one here. This is where all the stress is. Actually, it's where all the old people are. But, it's kind of like all of us. So we will be getting one for here as well. One of the things that the admin and Mr. Adams specifically, he wants his staff to be trained on how to use it in case they know how to use it on camera. It's like, okay, does everybody know how to use this? So,
that's a valid point. And we saw that in your report, and I thought, wow, we probably do need people to be trained on how to use
right.
this.
And they actually talk to you.
Yeah, President Hill, Vice President House. They are systems that you pull it off the wall, you open it up, and it not only gives you diagrams for children and adults, but the they walk you through it with voice commands that, so yeah, we could still use training on how to do it, but if in a pinch and if we had a true emergency, we should be able to have someone use it. And I have it on our ERT agenda, just to update the law enforcement and first responders of where we have those, where else we will be putting them with possibly in the new sports complex and in some other places. That's what I was going to do.
You really took the ZRT stuff.
Yeah, that's one of those things that your worst nightmare that you lay awake about.
Yeah, it's a chore, but it's obviously worth it. Yeah.
And Mr. Adams and Mr. Gastonbidi and Mr. Viviano went to a training, a 2-day? Was it a 2-day training?
It was a 2-day training in Los Alamos.
In Los Alamos before the break. That's where they got sick. That's where they got sick. So and with the ERT and so they've got a lot moving forward that they're going to continue working on, and the reunification. There we go. It's like I knew that word much better.
Members of the board, the piece that Superintendent Salazar talked about, we all have our safety plans, and really the point was impressed upon us over and over and over and over and over again by the trainers. You have your responses, to an emergency. You have some other procedures, but where school districts across the country really need to shift some focus is in that recovery and reunification piece. Because it's not just about getting kids and staff home after an event. It's also the financial situations of the district. Just all everything that's encompassed in it. So Los Alamos was a great resource. They use a program that we researched, and so we might be moving forward with that.
So we'll be bringing that later in the spring to you as a presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Rubiano? No? All right.
So we have an action item, and Mr. Viviano, would you like to share a staff request?
President Armino, members of the board, under policy GCCC, professional staff leave of absence without pay, there is a portion in there where we have to come to the board if a staff member is asking for additional time off for a medical situation that goes beyond FMLA. We've had this once or twice before since I've been in this department. And so we do have a staff member who will be or is scheduled to start FMLA about February 9th. And the staff member is scheduled to take all 12 weeks. But because of some documentation I have in my hand that we received from the doctors and other situations, again, extenuating circumstances, there's additional time that's needed, and the board is the only needs to discuss it and or approve it. And so what the staff member is asking is for 4 additional weeks above and beyond FMLA. And I will let you know that the school has already made plans. They will not be burdened by this staff member not being there the additional 4 weeks.
She's an employee that's in good standing, and and basically what this does, it does not cost the district anything. It is leave without pay. It just guarantees that she'll have a job when she comes back for the next school year. So it's my recommendation that you approve the leave without pay for this employee. And if you have any other questions about the process, we'd be happy to, or if you have questions specifically to this employee, we can answer them at a later time. So.
But you do recommend?
Yes, I do recommend this.
Okay. So a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the leave without pay for an employee.
I'll motion to approve the leave without pay for the employee.
And I have a second. So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Support services, special projects, and other items. Any questions for transportation? I think we've covered.
Cover transportation.
So tech, maintenance, and food services. Any questions? All right.
Yeah, no how many features we got. Internet can tell you.
I can also tell you that their prices are going up.
Yeah.
I have a question for the tech coordinator. My question would be, because of the conversation I had with Ms. Romero, on the VAL program, is there a way to know where students are logging in from?
Chris, I don't think there is there?
I'm so sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't
I was
either.
just curious about that after we had another conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and if I misspeak, but I think I'm going to answer the question, I'm going to attempt. Mr. President, Vice President House, if the student, we can track the IP address to the device, we can tell that it's coming from an IP address, but wherever that device is, we don't know. So we can say it's a device that we own, but we can't tell where it is. So they could be.
And we can turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can turn it where it's not functional. So if let's say something gets stolen, like this gets stolen, Paul can turn the access to it. When they turn it on, it says property of Aurora Edgewood School District, please return, and you can't do anything with it. It's not worth anything. So
I don't know. I was just sitting here and thought, I totally lost it. I was curious. It just made me.
you know, if we were the NSA or FBI, I've been watching their shows. Yeah, exactly. We may be breaking, privacy laws if we do that.
It's pretty impressive, though, that we can just shut it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
great. Yeah.
We could put air tags on all of our devices.
Yeah, like people are doing on their luggage now. It's kind of like, I know where it's at. So.
And I've said before, just like even when we were doing liquidation or disposal of fixed assets, how that's a significant number of Chromebooks, but that's kind of exciting at the same time. One, that they've been replaced, but two, that we've aged out that many.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I would say the initiatives that the district has taken have taken a foothold, that we are aging out that many devices.
Yeah, this was our first time to do that many.
So even as boring of an item as it is, there's a story to it. Disposal?
You just want to put it in.
Still exciting. Any other questions for tech, maintenance, or food service? All right. Looks like we're moving on to an action item, donation.
So, we just keep being gifted these wonderful things, and the positive public information that's come out. The article that we had, or the news story that we had about our middle school and the Porta guitars. The Rise in Music Ministry and the Freedom in Music Project has donated 12 guitars and acoustic guitars, their stands, all the things that go with them, 2 humidifiers to keep them at the right temperature, batteries, electronic tuners, picks, straps, new strings, for about a $3,500 donation. They had a grant that they spent that money on. It was to get the full 12. They went ahead and pitched in an extra $513, which they were very happy to do. But it's Phil and Linda. I'm going to butcher the last name, Olivia. Something. That's kind of like, but very nice. And we're going to get they're actually from Rio Rancho. And so they saw what the amazing things we're doing with our fine arts programs. And so these 12 guitars are going to the high school. So they're a little more advanced guitars and higher quality. And so, again, we are so blessed in our district to have the amazing fine arts programs. No other district in the state has a guitar program 6 through 12. No other district has a 30 piano lab. Our band is growing. Our choir is always amazing. So very lucky to have those opportunities for our kids. So I recommend, Mr. President and members of the board, that we accept the donation from the Freedom of Music Project, 12 guitars. So.
If we accept this donation.
Yeah, if we accept this donation.
In the past, we've always sent thank you letters, and we are blessed, and we are so thankful, but it would be, I hope they get to visit. You know what I mean?
Come and see our kids. We should invite them.
We should extend an invitation, just because it is amazing.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. President. They actually expressed that desire for them to come out. They've been offered to play and put on a concert for the kids themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
And I haven't had a chance to even talk to Superintendent Salazar about that since they
That'd be amazing.
That'd be great. Friday.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Very cool.
Very good. We have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to accept the donation of 12 guitars from the Freedom of Music Project.
I so.
So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very cool. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids are good.
They're amazing.
They're amazing, you know. Yeah.
All right, nothing under board policy. Moving on to advanced planning.
So we do have our February 2nd through 4th winter board training in conjunction with the legislature. So we do have groups for each of you in Santa Fe somewhere, at the La Posada. And so we, for Thursday and Friday night, it starts Thursday morning and goes to Saturday at noon. If I'm assuming, because everybody said that they were going, so if anybody changes their mind or something changes, let us know and we can correct that. But you're also, everybody's good to sign you up for the conference still at this point. Yeah, so we're all good to go. The National Scoreboard Association, we priced that.
Yeah.
It was going to be $20,000. And we were going to have 2 full days of training, or flying, Friday and Monday for 2 days of being in training. So we just didn't feel, anytime we travel east, it's outrageous. Yeah, it was, $3,500 per person. And so it was over our budget for the year for all of our training. So we're hoping that next year it'll be not as far west, east. Yeah, let's go west.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Yes.
San Diego's, we can fly $99. So, exactly. I think it was like, even just the conference was like $1,100, $950, and if we were members or not members, but $1,100 a person for 2 days. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. So we did not move any further on that.
And they didn't have any kind of virtual element to it?
They didn't. I didn't see it. Did you see virtual?
I think there was.
Oh, was there? Okay.
I believe so. I need to double, I can confirm that.
Okay.
But I believe so.
You could. Well, the rest of the nation's doing. We can eat popcorn and watch.
Well, I think there's value in learning.
Yeah.
Sure.
When you start leaning on some research, like the things you attended in Dallas. Research, no, not but research-based initiatives, I think there's value in it. So it would be that is a little steep, or maybe we can look at a virtual option, or maybe some other way of networking with other school boards, national school boards, to maybe have a conversation.
Yeah. One thing I would like to kind of put a bug in your ear about is that we probably will need to do a board retreat in May or June. So kind of start looking at calendars of what's working, and it'll probably be a multi-day, so we can do something like we did in Santa Fe a couple of years ago. So if we needed to do, I think we did like a Thursday evening, Friday, or type thing. So we'll probably need to be resetting goals, refocusing. We had a great experience with our admin, getting to spend that time and really focusing on those goals. So we'll have some good solid data, kind of like we talked about in executive session, and of looking at data and making data-driven decisions. So principals will have that because there will be a solid year of instruction plus some quality data for that. So just to kind of put that on your radars.
Do you have something for us, Ms. Hayden?
I was just going to let you know, President, on your Vice President House, that they do have an online option available for that for $550.
Bargain.
Yeah.
$550. So think about that as kind of like if you want to, we'll send you the link again, and so you can look and see what what that looks like. Because since it's a national conference, and they probably have their act together about it being virtual. You know what I mean? It's not like, yeah. Or it's like the camera's looking at the ceiling and you don't see. Yeah, sometimes that happens. So we'll send that to you tomorrow. Okay.
Adjournment, are you interested?
I'm not interested. It's kind of like, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that we adjourn this meeting.
Recommendation of your superintendent Salazar for adjournment. On the motion? Motion and second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.